Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Technology Mafia, and today we are taking a look at my wife's brand new car. Well, I say brand new, it's new to us, but it actually is a pre-owned vehicle. It's a 2011. So this one, up front we have the bi-xenon headlamps with the angel halos. So let me see if I can unlock it. They are on right now. It's a nice touch. Very sporty exterior. I like all the body panels on this model. This car has a clear bra on it from the previous owner, so that's a nice touch to prevent rock chips. It has 16-inch wheels, as you can see. The tires are 225 45s in the front and 225 45s in the rear. So interesting. Around the side you could see the profile of the car, nice and sleek. And around the back, the revised tail lamps for the 2011 model year, 328, and two twin exhausts just down here on the bottom. And it's raining a little bit, but it's okay. Car was just washed and vacuumed, so we'll take a look at it. So let's open it up and take a look at what it looks like inside. So the key fob, as you can see, is right here. And it's very easy to operate. This is your lock, the BMW logo, and then the arrow is the unlock. So you press it once to get the driver's door, twice to get all the other doors. This is the black leather interior, and this is a non-sport package car, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we start driving. But you can see the door trim panels. Has the dark wood, which I would have preferred the more metallic or the carbon trim, but the dark wood does look nice with the black interior. The back seat is a lot more roomy than other cars in its class. I think it's about the same as a C-Class and definitely bigger than a Lexus IS 250 or 350. I like the handles on all of the doors here. Very comfortable for passengers to use as well. And there's decent headroom back here. So let's pop the trunk. Show you. So I have some extra carpets that came with the car when I bought it. You have, interestingly, back here, the battery is down here. And I don't know if this was done for weight distribution, most likely it was, or just because there wasn't enough space in the engine bay, but kind of a unique feature. Cargo mat here, and underneath there is not a spare, there's just storage for random goods. Unfortunately, in this car, the back seats do not fold down. So if you are hauling larger items, you need to get a truck. Around the front, so the hood. There is the inline 6-cylinder. This is a 3-liter inline 6. This is the N51. For the year 2011, they moved from N52 to N51 on some models. The differences are the N51 is more efficient. It's made basically to comply with the California SULEV emissions standards. So it's 3 liters, 230 horsepower, about the same in torque. Very smooth, very refined engine, and you could see just how well packed it is in there. That is it. I'm surprised that they didn't put any sort of sound dampening material on the inside of the hood or bonnet if you're in the UK. But that is it. And now let's hop inside and we'll go for a spin, and we'll show you kind of just how it rides and the features of the interior. So as I mentioned before, here's the key. So the way that you use it is you do have to insert it here. You push in and the music turns on. And then you just want to press the brake, because this is an automatic, and press the start button and it starts right up. This is a non-sport package car, so the steering wheel looks a little bit different. It has several buttons here for volume changing radio stations, selecting your audio source. Your phone controls are also here as well. Behind that you have your windshield wiper switch. This has rain sensing wipers, so there's a sensor in the windshield, so you can turn this on, and depending on how much it's raining, it will adjust the speed of the wiper blades. Cruise control on the left bottom side. Way over on this side here, you have your light switch. So this is off, you have auto. This is just your parking lights, or the angel halos. And as well as the fog lights, which you can engage here. Once you engage the fog lights, you see that little green button pops up there. Down below there you have a trunk release button, which I hope you could see, and the hood release below that. Dead pedal to rest, and 2 pedals to drive with. Nothing else here, pretty simple. On the driver's side door you have switches for all of your windows, as well as automatic mirror adjustments and a lockout for the windows. Speaking of mirrors, the side mirrors, the rear view mirror, which is up here, they are all auto dimming, which is very nice if you're driving at night. So you could see the rear view mirror has a compass as well, shows where you're going. Has a red light, which I'm not too sure what that's all about. And BMW really motivates you, I think, to excel and succeed in life, because they put 3 garage door buttons there. So they're trying to sell you on the idea of buying a house with a 3-car garage, which I think is a nice touch. Looking at the instrument cluster, it's very easy to read and straightforward. You have your speedometer on the left, your tachometer on the right. Fuel gauge is just below that, and you have an MPG gauge on the right, which is kind of a cool added feature. In the middle you have a screen with outside temperature, current time, lever position for the automatic transmission, your average mile per hour. You could cycle through several things on that screen. Let's see if we can. There's miles per gallon. I'm not really getting 45 miles per gallon, don't be astounded. Miles until empty, 328. Average mile per hour, and cycles back through. So before you guys get all upset that I got the automatic version, again, this is my wife's car. She knows how to drive stick shift, but it's a lot more convenient to simply go with the automatic for her. So let's go ahead and start driving, and I'll continue talking while we're driving. So right off the bat, I could tell you that I've driven a lot of cars. I've owned a lot of cars. This is the first BMW that I've ever owned, and it is a very different and enjoyable driving experience. I've owned a GTI for a while. I love that car. Owned an Audi for a little bit, 2.5 years. Love that car as well. But this has very, very good driving dynamics, and that's what makes BMW so popular with so many people, why so many auto journalists love them. We're going to try to find some windy roads somewhere so we can try out the handling. The automatic transmission in this car is very smooth, no issues, it's never jerky, it's always seems to be in the right gear at the right time, and because the engine is so torquey, you never really have to rev it out to get much power. So you have AC vents, obviously, you have your hazard lights. The unlock and lock is for some reason in the middle. Maybe that's because they want to save by not installing 2 switches on either side of the front doors, but it's right here. You have hot and cold air here for vents. The audio in this car features the Harman Kardon audio system, which is an upgrade over the standard audio system, and it does sound quite nice. The audio interface looks a little dated. I think this system has been around for probably 10 years at least, so it has that orange glow, but it still works great. Obviously has a CD slot, radio, as well as some other connections. You have an aux connection here or a USB, and the way that you connect to the radio is actually through the center console right here. And I don't know if you could see that, but inside you have two connections. One is USB and one is an aux. I have an iPod Shuffle connected at the moment, but there's some storage there and you can connect an iPod, which is nice. Other than that, you don't have a cup holder here. You have two trays around the shift lever, and then you have your parking brake. The only cup holders in the car for the front passengers are up here. And they're kind of interesting, weird design. So there's one, and then there's another one right here. They both pop out. That's how you keep your drinks. They are situated near the AC vents, so I suppose you can keep your drinks warm or cold depending on the weather conditions. Automatic climate control, dual zone. It also has heated seats. You can adjust both zones as far as heat or AC. So if you have a passenger who is always cold and wants heat on constantly, you can certainly accommodate them. I'm going to turn that off for the time being. That's pretty much it for the front. There's a glove box. It's not very big. Has some paperwork in there, so it's a little bit messy. The steering in this car is heavier than your average Camry or Civic or your average car in general. But when you're on a windy road, or even if you're just cruising on a freeway, that's where it really does pay off, because you have complete control over where you're going, and it feels a lot more secure in your hand. It feels like you're driving something a little bit more expensive and executive.
Delicate touch, I'm wrapped in you. I start to see all these tiny spots.
Okay, so we are gonna turn down this road here, which should give us some space to have a little bit of fun at least. Now the automatic transmission doesn't have any paddle shifters or anything on the steering wheel, but you can switch it over to manual mode by moving the lever over to the left, and it just keeps the revs up higher if you have it in that mode. So, and you can also switch up and down by tugging back or forward for a downshift. We'll slow down to 40 and we'll do a pull to 60. So this is fourth gear, and you can see there's plenty of torque. You could definitely feel it in the higher revs at 3,000-4,000. You can definitely feel the power of that straight six engine. And the thing that I like about this car more than anything is just how smooth the engine is. It really is silky smooth. And it's a shame that the newer BMW 3 Series have gone away from the inline six engine. They've moved towards a turbocharged 4-cylinder, because this is something that you don't get with a 4-cylinder, no matter how refined it is. You don't get that sound of the whiny inline six, and you don't get that torque and that smoothness. Handling on this car, so it is a non-sport package car. When I was out looking for cars for my wife, I did test drive a Sport Package 328, a little bit older than this one, and I found that the ride was a bit on the harsh side. Now, if you're coming from something like a Civic, or you're coming from something like, you know, a lowered Camry or something that's on super rough springs and shocks, then the Sport Package BMW will feel like a piece of home. But if you're coming from something a little bit nicer, if you're used to riding around in a Cadillac and you get inside a Sport Package 3 Series, you will definitely notice A, the road noise, and B, the ride harshness. Road noise in here is okay. I mean, it's not the quietest car out there. It's definitely not as quiet as some Lexus models like a Lexus LS or a GS, but it is not so loud that it's roaring at all times. And the roads that we're driving on here in Oregon are quite rough. A lot of people talk about BMWs and their concern is really, number one, reliability. That's at the top of everyone's list. And most German cars, as you guys may or may not know, are not the most reliable cars in the world if you compare them to their Japanese rivals. Now, BMW is obviously no exception to this. If you're buying one new, you have free maintenance for 4 years or 50,000 miles, so you don't have to worry about it. But you do have to suffer the consequences of leaving your car at a dealership lot while it's being worked on, so you don't have a car for a couple of days in some circumstances. That comes with buying the car, so you just have to be aware that if you do buy a BMW, especially a used one, things will inevitably go wrong, but they're not terrible to work on. All of the parts that you will ever need for this car are readily available online, and they're not too expensive. For example, the spark plugs for this particular car, I'm planning on doing a spark plug replacement because at 60,000 miles it's recommended. The spark plugs are $48 for all 6 of them, so it's just like any other car. Things that go wrong with this model, number one are the door lock actuators. I've already had to replace one door lock actuator. What that means is when you push the button to unlock the doors, it just doesn't work on one door. That job took about 2 hours, but it was only $26 in parts, so it is not too bad. The dealer would have charged around $500 to $700 to do a replacement like that. Ignition coils is the second thing that usually goes wrong with these cars. They are a pretty simple fix. I'm planning on upgrading my ignition coils here in the next future as well. I'm going to do that as part of the spark plug maintenance. So stay tuned for that video in the near future. But overall, I'd say that this car is an excellent deal. If you can buy one like this, I paid $13,000 for this car last year. So it's a 5-year-old BMW with 60,000 miles. I think that's an amazing deal for a car that new stickers for, wow, that Miata is in the middle of the road. For a car that new stickers for around $40,000, if not more. The newer BMWs, the 4 cylinders, are $50,000 in many cases. So you're getting a lot of car for the money if you're picking up a used one of these. However, pay close attention to maintenance and how the cars have been maintained, because there are a lot of people out there that simply don't take care of their things, and you don't want to end up with a car that has a number of problems from an owner that just never took the time to take care of the car. Driving wise, this is about as good of a driving experience as it gets. You have an inline 6-cylinder in the front, rear wheel drive in the back. The only thing that would make this better would be a 6-speed manual, which you can get. They are a little bit more difficult to find, but definitely still possible if you are on the look for one of these cars. So that is really it for this video. If you guys have any questions about the BMW, about any particular aspect of the car, be sure to comment down below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I will probably create a new playlist on my channel, and any future videos that I have working on this car will be put into that playlist. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. My wife absolutely loves this car, and every single time that she drives it, she loves it more. So thank you for watching. Thanks for all the likes and all the support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.